Have you ever wished you could walk through life without being torn apart by criticism, rejection, or betrayal? Have you ever wanted to stop carrying that silent ache, the heaviness that lingers even when you smile in front of others? Maybe you're exhausted from holding yourself together, from wearing the mask of strength, when deep down you just want a moment of peace from the pressure of pretending. Here's the hard truth. As long as you keep running from pain, you remain its prisoner. The more you try to numb, defend, and avoid, the tighter its grip becomes. Pain is not a sign of weakness. Pain is the unspoken reality of every human being. The difference is that some people hide it better than others. Carl Jung once said, "We are not what happens to us, but what we choose to become." That is the doorway. Emotional detachment doesn't mean becoming cold, hard, or indifferent. It means learning how to face what's inside you so deeply that nothing outside has the power to enslave you. True strength is not the absence of wounds. It's the clarity of knowing who you are even when you're bleeding. This video is for those of you who are tired of being emotionally held hostage by the actions, words, and silence of others. It's for you if you felt like people always hold power over your mood, your worth, and your peace. I want to show you how it doesn't have to be that way. But first, you'll need the courage to hear some truths that may sting. Let's begin. You probably believe that what hurts you most comes from the outside: betrayal, rejection, abandonment, harsh words. But here's what psychology reveals. Those things only pierce you because there's already an open wound inside. The pain isn't in what people do. It's in what their actions awaken within you. Think about it. Two people can go through the exact same experience. One collapses, the other stands firm. The difference isn't in the event, but in the inner landscape it lands on. If your internal ground is fragile, every small tremor feels like an earthquake. The real reason you suffer so much is because, at some level, you still cling to the illusion of control. You still believe that if you're good enough, strong enough, kind enough, the world will treat you fairly. But life doesn't work that way. The world will act on its own terms. Control is an illusion, and as long as you chase it, you'll live in constant tension, always waiting for the next blow. Do you want to stop suffering? Then stop trying to shield yourself from suffering. What you need is not more defense. What you need is awareness. The moment you realize that people's actions only hurt when they find an echo in your own unresolved wounds, you begin to see where the real battlefield lies. Not in the outer world, but in the unconscious. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That's exactly what's happening when you feel blindsided by your own emotions. That sudden anger that comes out of nowhere, that deep sadness that floods you without explanation, these aren't accidents. They're signals from within, messages from the parts of yourself you've been ignoring. The unconscious isn't just a shadowy cloud of forgotten thoughts. It's a living force, a vault of unresolved memories, buried fears, and disowned desires. And when you refuse to face it, it doesn't disappear. It simply controls you in ways you don't notice. You repeat toxic relationships. You sabotage your own progress. You crumble at words that wouldn't even register for someone else. Here's the truth. You cannot heal what you refuse to face. Repression doesn't solve the problem. It multiplies it. The more you push your pain under the rug, the more you trip over it. Jung was clear. We cannot change anything until we accept it. That means your pain will not dissolve by ignoring it. It transforms only when you bring it into awareness. So if you want to be someone who is no longer easily wounded, stop running. Stop silencing yourself. Stop pretending you don't feel. Face your unconscious, or remain its puppet. Most people think the way to protect themselves is to build walls. They put on masks. They harden their tone. They say, "I don't care anymore." But inside, they're still bleeding. Detachment doesn't mean refusing to feel. It means refusing to let feelings you don't understand control you. True resilience comes from integration. It's when you take the very parts of yourself you've buried, your shame, your fear, your longing, and bring them into the light. Once you've accepted them, nobody can use them against you. This is what Jung called individuation, becoming who you really are, not the image you project to be loved, admired, or accepted. Individuation isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. It's the fusion of your light and your shadow, your strengths and your flaws, your conscious mind and your unconscious depths. Here's the paradox. The more you try to avoid being hurt, the weaker you become. But the more you face your own wounds and accept every part of yourself, the stronger you grow. Because then, nothing outside has the power to dismantle you. But let's not romanticize this. Individuation is brutal. It's not comfortable. It doesn't flatter your ego. It tears it down. It forces you to unlearn much of what you thought you were. You'll realize that the identity you built, the achievements, the roles, the masks, was never the full truth of you. Those were survival strategies. Necessary at one point, yes, but not who you are at the core. And here's where suffering becomes sacred. Pain is not punishment. It is a signal. Jung described depression as a visitor in black. Don't push her away. Invite her in. Listen to what she has to say. Because pain is your unconscious speaking. It's the messenger telling you something in you wants to grow, but your ego is resisting change. Change hurts. Growth hurts. Letting go of false identities feels like death. But only in that death can something new be born. When everything you clung to crumbles, when your certainties fall apart, you finally see who you are without the mask. That's where pain turns into transformation. Few people walk this path all the way. Most get scared, retreat, and numb themselves again. But if you've listened this far, you're already proving you're ready to cross. Individuation is lonely, not because you'll end up alone, but because few are willing to face themselves this deeply. While others remain trapped in surface games and masks, you'll descend into your depths. You'll find clarity in places others avoid. And that's where the paradox of emotional detachment reveals itself. Detachment isn't about escaping life. It's about diving into it so deeply that storms can no longer throw you off course. On the surface, every wave knocks you down. But in the depths, the water is calm. Nothing can hurt you anymore. Not because you're numb, but because you're awake. Words, rejection, loss, they still register, but they no longer define you. They no longer dismantle you. Because you've already integrated the very parts of yourself they used to wound. This is the shield of consciousness. Not hardness, not indifference, awareness. And that changes everything. So here's the choice before you. You can keep fighting life, resisting pain, clinging to control, and stay exhausted. Or you can choose awareness. You can begin the lifelong process of bringing your unconscious to light, of facing your shadows, of embracing your pain until it becomes part of your strength. Jung said, "What you resist persists. What you accept transforms." That is the essence of emotional detachment. Stop hiding. Stop performing. Stop trying to be untouchable by armor. Become untouchable by clarity. Because when you finally see yourself fully, your beauty, your flaws, your wounds, your desires, you stop being at the mercy of the world. You stop being broken by every rejection, destroyed by every word. You still feel, but you no longer drown. You still suffer, but you no longer lose yourself. That is freedom. That is what it means to be unshakable. And if you've made it this far, you're ready to begin that journey.